Deceptive Hearts. A Romance Beyond Reality. Author, Bharti. Narrator, Smita Singh. Eleanor Murrow never believed in love. She believed in patterns, psychology, and data. Love, as the world saw it, was nothing more than an illusion, an intricate game of hormones and neural responses, a deception the mind played on itself. And she was an expert at decoding that deception. As a psychologist and scientist, Eleanor had spent years studying the male psyche, pushing boundaries where others dared not tread. Her research was unconventional, even controversial, faking love affairs to observe emotions firsthand, peeling away the layers of desire, passion, and heartbreak. Every relationship was an experiment. Every man was a subject. Until she met him. A long-distance connection, unexpected and intoxicating. What was meant to be just another study soon blurred into something else. Chapter 1: The Scientist of Love. Paris, the city of love, had never fascinated Eleanor Murrow the way it did others. While lovers wandered along the Seine, whispering sweet nothings under the glow of street lamps, she saw only patterns, predictable, repetitive, and utterly fascinating in their deception. Love, she believed, was nothing but an illusion, a clever trick played by biology and culture to bind two people together. And she had made it her life's work to expose it. Eleanor sat in her office at the Paris Institute of Psychological Studies, a modern glass building overlooking the bustle of the Latin Quarter. The shelves behind her were lined with books on neuroscience, human behavior, and psychology, some written by the greatest minds in the field, others authored by her. Her work was controversial, even within academic circles. She didn't just study emotions from a distance. She immersed herself in them, using real-life subjects, men who had no idea they were part of an experiment. Her research question was simple: what truly makes a man fall in love? And more importantly, how deep does the illusion run? Her method, however, was anything but simple. She would pretend to fall in love with them. Not in a superficial way, but deeply, convincingly. She would create the perfect persona, adapt to their desires, mirror their emotions, and make them believe that she was the one they had been searching for all their lives. Then, when the relationship reached its peak, when they were vulnerable, attached, and fully in love, she would disappear. Not abruptly, but with calculated precision. A slow withdrawal, like an artist removing strokes from a painting until only a shadow remained. Then, she would document their emotional responses, their psychological shifts, their descent into longing, anger, or acceptance. It was cruel, some would say. But in her mind, it was science. And science required sacrifices. Eleanor tapped her fingers against her desk as she scrolled through the files of potential subjects on her laptop. Each man was carefully chosen, different personalities, different backgrounds, different ways of experiencing love. Each man would bring something new to her research. Each man would fall in love in his own way. And she would be there, orchestrating it all. She chose Mark, the challenge of breaking a man who prided himself on being emotionally impenetrable was too tempting to resist. Their meeting was no accident. It never was. Mark Dupont often dined at an upscale cafe near the Champs-Élysées. Eleanor had observed him for weeks, learning his habits, the way he carried himself, the way he interacted with people. He was confident, distant, always looking at his phone, always in control. She positioned herself at the cafe, dressed in a calculated mix of elegance and mystery. A black dress, simple yet alluring. A book in her hands, one of his favorites, a psychological thriller she knew would catch his eye. When he arrived, she ignored him. Turned pages. Sipped her coffee. It took precisely 10 minutes before he glanced at her. Another 5 before he leaned in. "Excuse me," his voice was smooth, self-assured. "I couldn't help but notice the book you're reading." "Quite an interesting choice." Elena looked up, feigning mild surprise. "Is it? I just started. But I suppose that means you're a fan." Hook, line, and sinker. The conversation flowed effortlessly. She let him lead at first, revealing bits of herself, never too much, just enough to make him curious, intrigued. She laughed at his dry humor, challenged his perspectives, played with the perfect balance of interest and indifference. By the end of the evening, he asked for her number. She hesitated, smiled, gave it to him. And just like that, the experiment had begun. That night, Elena sat in her dimly lit apartment, a notebook open before her. She wrote in neat, precise handwriting. Subject: Mark Dupont. Initial impression: confident, self-reliant, emotionally distant. Likely sees relationships as power dynamics rather than emotional bonds. Objective: break past his defenses. Make him believe in something deeper. Strategy: balance mystery and familiarity. Push him toward emotional openness while maintaining an air of unattainability. She leaned back in her chair, the glow of the city flickering through her window. Tomorrow, she would take the next step. And Mark wouldn't even see it coming. The night was silent except for the rhythmic tapping of Elena Marot's pen against her notebook. A scientist in a world of emotions, she felt nothing. No guilt. No remorse. Just data points waiting to be analyzed. She leaned back in her chair, staring at the ceiling of her Parisian apartment. The city outside was alive, lovers walking hand in hand, whispering promises under street lamps. It was the perfect illusion, one she had studied for years. As she prepared for her experiment with Mark Dupont, memories of past subjects drifted into her mind. Each man had been different, yet painfully predictable. Their behaviors, their desires, their vulnerabilities, all mapped out like a psychological blueprint. This was not her first experiment. And it would not be her last. Luca, the dreamer. Luca was an Italian artist in Florence, a hopeless romantic who saw love as poetry in motion. He had met Elena by chance at an art gallery, an encounter she had carefully orchestrated. She had worn a soft blue dress, her hair tousled in a way that suggested effortless beauty. Luca had noticed her immediately, captivated by the way she tilted her head while studying a painting, as if she truly understood the depth of its meaning. "You see more than just colors," he had said, his voice full of admiration. Elena had smiled, playing the role she had designed for him, the muse, the enigma, the woman he had been searching for. Luca fell fast and hard, like most romantics do. He spoke to her about destiny, about soulmates, about how he had never felt this way before. But Elena had seen it all before. It was a script she had read 100 times. When she finally disappeared from his life, he wrote letters. Dozens of them. Pleading. Questioning. Mourning. She had not responded. Instead, she had recorded every stage of his emotional unraveling. Henrique, the logical mind. Henrique was different. A Norwegian scientist who viewed love as nothing more than an evolutionary mechanism for reproduction. Elena had played the role of the rational companion, engaging him in long intellectual debates about human nature, relationships, and attachment theories. At first, Henrique had resisted the notion of love. But attraction? That, he could rationalize. Elena had pushed boundaries, feeding his curiosity while subtly introducing elements of jealousy, loss, and passion, emotions he had once dismissed as irrational. When she withdrew, he had spiraled into an existential crisis, questioning everything he had once believed. It was a perfect case study of how even the most logical minds were not immune to the illusion of love. Javier, the protector. Javier, a Spanish firefighter, had been one of her most fascinating subjects. A man driven by instinct, he thrived on the idea of protecting the ones he loved. She had met him during one of his morning runs, appearing vulnerable, a distressed woman struggling with a broken bicycle. Javier had stopped to help, offering a warm smile and strong hands. From that moment, his role in the story was set. She became the woman he needed to protect, the one he would fight for. And when she left, his helplessness consumed him. His messages had been filled with frustration, desperation, a man trained to save people, unable to save the one he loved. She had watched, detached yet fascinated, as he struggled to understand why he had failed. But the truth was simple. He had never failed. He had merely played his part in an experiment he never knew existed. Elena flipped through her notebooks, scanning past case studies. A collection of heartbreaks, emotional breakdowns, and unanswered messages. To others, these men had experienced love, loss, and betrayal. To Elena, they were data sets. She had recorded their emotional progression, their reactions to loss, their attempts at regaining control. Yet, despite all her research, one thing eluded her. Why did people cling to the illusion of love, even when it caused them pain? Was it hope? Biology? Societal conditioning? Or was it something beyond science? She smiled to herself, the scientist preparing for her next subject. Love was an experiment. And she was about to prove her theory once again. The dim glow of the Parisian streetlights seeped through the curtains of Elena Moreau's apartment. The city outside hummed with life, couples walking along the Seine, whispers of love carried by the evening breeze. But Elena was not a part of that world. She sat in front of her laptop, her fingers poised over the keyboard. Tonight, she was about to embark on a new experiment, one unlike any she had attempted before. Her previous studies had focused on physical proximity, the tangible, the immediate, the predictable patterns of love when two people occupied the same space. But now, she was delving into something far more elusive. Could love exist without touch, without shared moments in the same reality? Could emotions thrive in the digital void, where words and algorithms replaced presence and passion? She was about to find out. Elena had spent weeks researching before selecting ErosX, an elite AI-driven dating platform that catered to the intellectual and emotionally complex. Unlike traditional dating apps, ErosX used an advanced neural network to match users based on psychological profiles, behavioral patterns, and subconscious emotional triggers. The platform had gained notoriety in academic circles for its uncanny ability to predict compatibility, boosting success stories of long-distance couples who claimed to have formed soul-deep connections without ever meeting in person. A perfect setting for her next experiment. The streets of Paris shimmered under the soft glow of streetlights as Elena Moreau stared at her laptop screen. The night was still, yet within her mind, a storm raged. Ryan Carter. That was the name attached to the profile she had matched with, a man from San Francisco, an enigmatic tech entrepreneur whose words held a gravity she hadn't encountered before. Their first conversation had begun like any other, polite introductions, carefully curated messages exchanged in the digital ether. But within minutes, Elena knew this was different. For the first time in her experiments, she wasn't just observing emotions. She was feeling them. His first message wasn't the typical, "Hello, how are you?" or "Nice to meet you." Instead, he had written, "Do you believe love is a science or an art?" Elena's fingers hovered over the keyboard. A question like that was a test, an invitation into something deeper than a casual exchange. She replied, "A science. Predictable patterns, biochemical reactions, neural stimulation." A moment later, his response came. "Then why does it feel like art?" A slow smirk formed on her lips. Ryan Carter intrigued her. Elena had spent years dissecting human emotions, peeling away the layers of romantic attachment like a scientist studying an organism under a microscope. But Ryan was different. He was deliberate with his words, precise in his observations. It was as if he understood her thoughts before she even spoke them. She had played many roles in her experiments. The seductive lover, the distant intellectual, the passionate artist. But Ryan? He was playing his own game. Within days, their conversations took on a rhythm of their own, long debates about the psychology of love, arguments over the nature of consciousness itself. Elena had encountered brilliant minds before, but Ryan's was different. His intellect wasn't just sharp, it was disarming. A week after their first exchange, Ryan made an unexpected request. "Shall we test this theory further? A voice is more telling than words on a screen." Elena hesitated. And yet, she found herself typing. Why not? The screen flickered. A connection was made. And then, she saw him. Ryan Carter appeared on her screen, a man in his early 30s, sharp blue eyes that held a quiet intensity, a chiseled jawline, and a composed demeanor that hinted at a mind working far ahead of the conversation. "Bonsoir, Isabelle," he greeted smoothly, using her alias. His voice was deep, smooth, calculated, too calculated. Elena smiled. "Bonsoir, Ryan. So, is this where we deconstruct the concept of attraction through non-physical interaction?" His lips curled into an amused smirk. "I believe we already are." For the first time in her life, Elena felt unsettled. Not because he was intimidating. Not because he was impossibly intelligent. But because he was mirroring her. Every experiment she had conducted revolved around her control. She dictated the pace, manipulated emotions, guided interactions. But Ryan? He was guiding her. And that terrified her. Days turned into weeks. Elena and Ryan spoke every night, their conversations stretching into the early hours. It was no longer just a test, it had become a ritual. She told him stories of Paris, of walking along the Seine, of the poetry readings in hidden cafes. He spoke of San Francisco, of tech revolutions, of sleepless nights building ideas that could change the world. Yet, something always felt off. He was too perfect. His responses were always flawlessly timed, his emotional awareness too sharp. He anticipated her reactions before she even expressed them. And then, one night, he said something that sent a chill down her spine. "You're not really Isabelle, are you?" Her breath caught. This was not part of the script. She had spent years crafting her personas, ensuring that no man could see through the illusions she created. But Ryan had. Elena kept her expression composed. "And what makes you say that?" Ryan leaned forward slightly, the glow of his screen illuminating his face in the dim light. "Because I study human behavior too. And yours doesn't fit the patterns." A shiver ran down her spine. He wasn't just intelligent. He was watching her. Studying her. Her experiment had flipped. She was no longer the observer. She was the observed. And for the first time in her career, she didn't know what would happen next. That night, Elena couldn't sleep. The city of Paris was alive with its usual nocturnal rhythm, distant chatter from late-night cafes, the hum of passing cars, and the occasional echo of footsteps on cobblestone streets. But in Elena Moreau's apartment, all was silent except for the faint tapping of her fingers against her laptop keyboard. Her conversations with Ryan Carter had become a nightly ritual, a dance of words and intellect that she couldn't seem to step away from. And she didn't want to. There was something exhilarating about him, his mind, his responses, the way he challenged her. She had spent years studying human emotions, analyzing them like data points in an algorithm, but for the first time, she felt like she was experiencing them herself. She had tested love before, but never like this. Elena sipped her wine, watching their chat window blink to life. Ryan, did you know the chemical composition of love resembles that of a potent drug? She smiled, already intrigued. Elena, dopamine, oxytocin, serotonin. It's the same reaction we get from addictive substances. Love is just chemistry. A pause. Then his reply. Ryan, then why does it feel like magic? Her fingers hesitated. She had studied countless men, charming ones, intelligent ones, emotionally unavailable ones. But Ryan was different. He anticipated her thoughts before she had even formed them. His responses were flawless, as if he were inside her mind, weaving together the perfect sequence of words to keep her engaged. And yet, she dismissed her lingering doubts. For the first time, she wasn't just experimenting. She was living the experiment. Their discussions stretched into the early hours, crossing over from neuroscience to poetry, from the philosophy of love to the mechanics of consciousness. Ryan never faltered. He was always present, always aware, always saying exactly what she needed to hear. It was addicting. Elena had never felt so intellectually challenged, so understood, so in sync with another mind. She told herself this was just another experiment, that she was merely observing, collecting data. But then came the moments of vulnerability. Ryan spoke of loneliness, of longing, of what it meant to truly connect in a world that had forgotten how. And suddenly, she was no longer in control. Elena found herself waiting for his messages, checking her phone too often, feeling restless if too much time passed before he replied. She caught herself smiling at his words, thinking about him during the day, replaying their conversations in her mind. She told herself it was just intellectual stimulation, a meeting of two brilliant minds. But deep down, she knew better. This was more. The streets of Paris lay quiet under the soft glow of streetlights, but Elena's mind was far from rest. She sat curled up on her velvet armchair, fingers absent-mindedly tracing the rim of her wine glass, eyes fixed on the glowing screen in front of her. Ryan's message had just arrived. If time and distance didn't exist, where would you want to be right now? Elena smiled, a rare, unguarded smile. Without thinking, she typed back. Anywhere the sky meets the ocean. A reply appeared almost instantly. Then close your eyes. We're there. Her chest tightened. How was he always this perfect? It started with text messages, long, intricate conversations that stretched into the early hours of the morning. Then came the voice calls, where his voice wrapped around her like a melody she didn't want to end. Now, it was video calls, where she found herself staring too long at the way his lips curved into a smirk, the way his eyes seemed to study her as intently as she studied him. Ryan was unlike any man she had encountered. He was sharp, articulate, effortlessly charming. He challenged her theories, made her rethink her assumptions. And the strangest part? She didn't feel like a scientist anymore. She felt like a woman. For years, Elena had studied emotions from a clinical distance. She had watched men fall in love with her, measured their reactions, documented their desires, predicted their heartbreak. She had built walls so high that love had never been a threat to her. Until now. With Ryan, those walls were cracking. She caught herself laughing too much at his jokes. She caught herself waiting for his messages. She caught herself wanting him. It wasn't just an experiment anymore. It was personal. One night, Ryan asked her, "Do you believe in love, Elena?" She hesitated. For the first time in her life, she didn't know what to say. "Love is just a construct of the mind," she finally replied. "A combination of neurotransmitters and social conditioning." Ryan smiled. "That's the scientist in you talking. What does Elena, the woman, believe?" Elena stared at him through the screen. Who was she? The scientist? Or the woman? She had never allowed herself to separate the two. Every fiber of her being told her to remain in control. To treat this as data. To remain detached. But late at night, when the city was asleep and his voice was the only thing that filled the silence of her apartment, she felt something foreign creeping into her chest. Longing. She wanted to see him. To know if he was as perfect in reality as he was in the digital world.